Welcome to your class today. This is a holistic blueprint that we're going to be covering to help you relieve your chronic pain at the root and also get a strong body that you feel like you can trust again. So, this work I have been doing for over a decade. I absolutely love doing this. I'm excited to share with you a bunch of case studies. We're going to go into more detail of what this blueprint is and how it might be able to help you. So, I hear this all the time from clients. I just want to feel normal in my body again. I don't want to deal with this problem anymore with pain. I feel like when I go to exercise, I take one step forward and then two steps backwards. I've tried different therapeutic modalities like chiropractic, massage, but I still have symptoms. So maybe there's some sort of temporary relief or you feel dependent on these practitioners. We hear, I know I need to move, but I have no clue about where to actually begin. I don't know what I can do that's not going to flare me. I feel like I can't count on my body anymore. Every time I try to exercise, it just seems to make things worse. And then we hear this often, I'm afraid to move, but I am more afraid of actually staying stuck. This is a really, really important distinction. Billions of people globally suffer with chronic pain. And a lot of people, they are okay with taking medications or injections and being a bit more passive about it. They don't care as much about building that really healthy and strong body, whatever that means to them. If you're listening to this, this tells me that you're not one of those people. You're somebody who actually wants to get better and live your life really fully and be able to do all the things you want to do without fearing a flare. So you might be feeling these things as well. I hear this all the time with my clients, shame or defeat from not being able to just push through the pain, which you've likely done for a while already. You might feel a sense of resentment because your body isn't doing what you want it to do. It's not working like it used to. Frustration because nobody else seems to understand the problem. You might have gone to a doctor, even maybe a surgeon, and maybe they say, we don't know what's going on with you, or the imaging isn't really correlating with the symptoms you have. We're going to cover more of that today. You might also be confused about which direction to go, which is likely why you're listening to this class right now. But this is really, really important, is that you still have to be hopeful that there's a solution. And I'm assuming, again, if you're listening to this class, you're hopeful, you're open, right? You have to have that open-mindedness. And you also recognize your body's really, really resilient. I worked in physical therapy for about 7 or 8 years, and the progress I've seen with the human body from all ages, all conditions. I've worked with crazy complex issues, multiple pain conditions at the same time, and people can recover. People can recover. So this blueprint is going to work for you if you have degenerative joint disease, sciatic type symptoms. So if you have, the pain running down your leg, but also things like SI joint pain, piriformis syndrome. If you have inflammatory conditions, that's arthritis, tendinopathy. If you have autoimmune conditions, we know that autoimmunity can really push pain. If you are pre or post operative, so either you have already gone through surgery and you still have chronic pain, or you are considering surgery, which my job is to help you avoid surgery. So if you're pre-operative, this is a great chance for you. If you have any impingement syndromes, hip impingement, shoulder impingement, compression through the spinal column, if you have genetic conditions, I've worked with a lot of people with different genetic conditions that create pain and physical limitations in their body. And also if you are a mystery case, again, if doctors say, we don't really know what's wrong with you. We see the imaging and there's nothing really conclusive on it, and we just don't know. Would you like this muscle relaxant? Okay, this is also going to be applicable for you. So this blueprint is going to help you, again, relieve chronic pain at the root. We're going to be looking at evidence-based strategies based in neuroscience. We're going to be helping you get a body that feels as good as it looks. So if you want to build muscle and lose weight, this is also going to be great for you. And just 3 hours or less a week without flaring, very important, always pain-free movement. Live an active and healthy life, again, without pain slowing you down. We are going to help you feel confident in your body without fearing a flare. It's a huge one, is bringing down that anxiety. Unlock your body's natural ability to heal, and we're going to help you strengthen with really timeless skills and exercises you can use for life. You're going to have more energy to do the things that light you up and make you feel more like you. So you can go and pursue the things in life that are meaningful to you and fulfilling. So ultimately, this is to help you feel free, resilient, and safe in your body. So we are going to talk about this in more detail in this class. It's called the PPP method. This is a method that I coined based on many models in pain neuroscience. So this is where we're leveraging our body's natural healing abilities, on a physical level, psychological, and physiological level. What that means here briefly is that typically when we go to solve chronic pain, we think that it's a physical problem. And that's not the case. Pain is a multidimensional problem. So we need to be working with pain on multiple levels. On a physical level, how you move, how you breathe. We need to be working on a psychological level, more about your thoughts, your beliefs, the stories you're telling yourself, and the physiological level, which is relating more to the nervous system. So you might have heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score. It became very, very popular many years ago when we went through a big global trauma throughout the world. The Body Keeps the Score talks about trauma and the impacts that trauma has on the body. And we're learning more and more about how trauma impacts our pain sensitivity and how stress also impacts our pain sensitivity. I refer to this as the trauma, stress, pain trifecta. I actually created multiple continuing education courses on this for other health providers on the trauma, stress, pain trifecta, because pain is not just a physical problem. So if you've historically been trying to work with pain by just going to physical therapy or massage, which those modalities are not wrong or bad, they're just sometimes incomplete. So again, we want to look at pain more from this multidimensional view, from more of that PPP method, which we're going to go into more detail. So we're going to look at a little more case studies here about who this is for, just to make sure that you feel like you're in the right place here. So this is one of my clients that was dealing with debilitating sciatica flares. She literally went from 10-10 intensity to virtually never flaring. Her flare was so bad. She told me she went to the grocery store and the pain had hit her so bad she had to drop to her knees in pain. And somebody came over and thought she was in labor because she was in so much pain. I thought that was unacceptable. She did as well. She's tried chiro and other things in the past, but we helped her with this PPP method with a lot of safe movement. So she gained significant strength as well. She dropped over 25 pounds. There's a whole thing we were doing with her, helping her eat more food, restore her hormones. She was a big, awesome case. And she also learned exactly what to do to stop a flare from coming back. So she felt like she wasn't able to maintain her exercises, and she's like, oh, like, I'm sitting in a car for 10 hours and my hips kind of feeling weird. She knew exactly what to do to not have it flare again. It is empowerment. I was just so happy to work with her. We worked together for several years. Navigating stubborn chronic back pain. So this is a client in his early 40s. He had chronic low back pain that would be debilitating during a bad flare. He would literally be bedridden, and he had a family that he was providing for, a family of 6. So he couldn't afford to literally be in bed. He saw chiropractic care pretty regularly, but he had inconsistent results. He still felt really limited. He felt vulnerable. He didn't know when a flare was going to hit him. We helped relieve his pain and flares. He was able to start deadlifting, lunging, doing overhead pressing, all sorts of more advanced movements without pain. He had sent me an email. Thanks so much for your help. My session with you is a big turning point. I feel like I've been on track. I've had tons of friends, who used to suggest massage, bodywork, chiro. And the experience for him is focusing on his breathing, relaxing, allowing his body to slowly heal has been what worked for him. So again, we're going to talk about that in more detail. Again, not to poo-poo on chiro and body work and things like that, but we have to look at this from a more holistic level. So just a little bit briefly about me. There's me with my 2 dogs. When Sage, the one on my left, was a little puppy. I'm the owner and operator of Rebuilding Bodies, the comprehensive system to relieve chronic pain and get a strong, fit body without flaring. I've been a strength and rehab professional my entire professional career. I've worked with thousands of patients in physical therapy and in my private practice in over 12 countries across the world. My experience working with chronic pain has really showed me that these individuals with pain are just as capable and resilient as anyone else. Sometimes we think, oh, I have pain, I got to baby myself, I got to protect this. We're going to talk more in detail about how we can work at the pace of your body where we're not overprotective, we're not bubble wrapping you, but we're not going too hard and fast where you flare. That is very, very important distinction. So I've also been on this mission to improve our industry. So again, I created continuing education courses on the trauma, stress, pain trifecta to work with complex chronic pain from a more trauma-informed way. And I started teaching that material to physicians, to behavioral health therapists, to physical and occupational therapists, to body workers, nurses, all sorts of different health providers to help them look at chronic pain from this different lens. And again, this is all based in the latest neuroscience and the research, the studies that are coming out in the last 5 to 10 years. It's just we need to be updated on this information. This is not what I learned about in school when I went to go to school for rehab. These are things that are new and necessary to come into this world now. So you're getting it front and center here. So I'm going to be showing you that exact formula that takes my clients from pain and limitation to relief and resilience. So you can move pain-free, you can get strong, you can get fit. This is another example, a client in his early 30s. He thought he was going to go have surgery. He went to some of the best therapists in Denver and he was suggested to have shoulder surgery. And I said, well, that seems a little extreme. He was often hard and aggressive in his training. He do a lot of boxing as well, a lot of hard weightlifting. When we started working together, his shoulder pain cleared up within a few weeks. And this is common, by the way. I've mentioned, my other client with the sciatica symptoms. We had worked together for years. The symptoms clear up within the first month, typically. So they stay on because it's fun to continue lifting. You're always being challenged. You're expanding your capacity to do more. But really, we see it's very typical for results to happen in just a few weeks. So he didn't have any shoulder limitations anymore. He was doing hours of competitive tennis every week. He was out there slamming that ball around. I'm still in touch with him. He's back to doing martial arts, and he's still doing the stuff that I taught him years ago. He's still doing the same training and progressing with it. This client, she was recovering from post-operative complications. So she was in her early 50s. She had a really physically and emotionally traumatizing accident years ago, just like a freak accident at a kids' party. And she worked with several physical therapists, and she was still flaring, and she still felt unsafe. She didn't feel confident going back to her activity. She didn't feel comfortable hiking with her family, like basic things. And then after she was able to perform a multitude of advanced loaded movements, she wasn't triggering her inflammation anymore. She felt safe. She felt confident, stable. She went out gardening again. She was hiking up and down inclines, and she was going more in, she was in Canada. So of course it snows and it's icy, and she didn't feel so rigid and afraid of walking on uneven, snowy surfaces, which was huge. So she had said that last night we were all together as a family, and she was saying how far she's come physically. And without even realizing before it was out, I said that without a doubt, my physical health and body is better than it's been before her accident. And her husband had asked if it was due to the work we were doing together, and she said absolutely yes. So another client saying she was singing her praises. This is another knee client. So she had a lot of knee problems where people just told her, "You just need to lose weight. You're just too heavy. You're putting too much strain on your knees." And that doesn't automatically mean that we have to have pain. So instead, we worked on therapeutic movement. We worked on, again, that PPP method. And she wasn't even able to comfortably get in and out of her bathtub. Like, again, these basic things that sometimes we take for granted until we don't have those opportunities again, right? This is another client. This just happened to be another knee client. She thought she was going to have to get $10,000 worth of knee surgery, and that was not the case. And this client, she is doing, what's that race? It's like the Spartan Warrior race or something. She had emailed me after we finished. She graduated and she finished, and then she's going and doing like this major race. She thought she'd never be able to run again. She was going to have to get meniscus surgery, and I said, I don't think so. And she didn't. Now she's running races, and she was lifting, she was doing deadlifts, hip thrusts. She was doing all sorts of stuff at the gym. And these results are typical. These results are typical because we have a predictable, proven way to do this that we're going to cover here. So if this already sounds intriguing to you, you're welcome to book a consultation. We do a thorough review of your story, your medical history to identify what you need, explore what you're doing now, and provide insights of what we can do to help you get there faster. So the consults are only available for people who have chronic pain, which is pain that's persisted longer than 3 months. It doesn't matter where the pain is. I've worked with people with pain in the knees, obviously, the hips, the back, the spine, the feet. It doesn't matter, because as you'll see with the PPP method, it doesn't matter as much the location of the pain. You have to have an average daily pain level of 6 out of 10 intensity or less. So if you're coming in and you're like chronically at an 8 to 10 pain, if that's your daily experience, then you might actually want to get some other therapeutic interventions through your doctor to just bring that pain down a little bit so that you're able to do a little bit more. So we say about 6 out of 10 is the max. So we have at least a little bit of capacity to work with when it comes to movement. You're going to need 3 hours a week to commit to your health with the movement recommendations that we're going to be giving you, or some of the other exercises. You need to be cleared to exercise, and you want to be prioritizing getting this problem solved, right? This is important to you. So we do a quick pre-qualifying form. We do a more in-depth intake form where we're looking at your entire history. Again, this is a holistic issue, so we need to look at who you are as an individual, what's been going on with your life as a whole. And then we'll go into a free consultation on a Google Meet call. So there's me, a quick 30-minute consultation, and we will have a conversation about what it might look like to work together. Again, we're going to go over more in this training as well if you want to continue watching about the method. And we're always looking for win-wins. So if I don't think that we're able to help you, or I think that there might be another modality that could work better for you, then I have an amazing network of very intelligent, incredible professionals. Again, I teach these professionals as well, so I'm always happy to refer out as well. Okay, so let's jump into the meat and potatoes here. So your current state, this is maybe you, if you're watching this class, you can't exercise consistently without pain, right? You feel like you're getting worse. You feel like you might need surgery, you might need medication. Maybe you already had surgery or had medication. Your situation is contributing to your mental health issues, stress, anxiety, depression. You're not happy with your physical activity level. You don't feel strong. You don't feel happy in your body. You feel very limited. And you feel like your situation's robbing you of time with your family, your friends, doing the things that you love. This is a huge one for my clients. They feel like they can't spend time with their family in the same way. They can't go out and do these activities, or they're really, really nervous. They're guarded. They're hypervigilant. And you know that you can't continue like this, right? And it's not your fault that you're in this situation. There's a lot of conflicting information about what to do with chronic pain, and it's really an emotional experience. It is not just a physical problem. There's a lot of emotions that come in when you're dealing with pain and limitation. So we're going to start to approach this from a comprehensive, more holistic lens, and we're going to be looking at an optimal weight training method customized for chronic pain. This is another example. This is a client with degenerative joint disease. So she had back pain, and then she also had knee pain. And she felt really stuck. She also wasn't able to lose weight. She wasn't able to move as much as she wanted. She was dealing with some autoimmune conditions. And she was able, it's amazing. I think about these stories. She was kettlebell swinging, she was deadlifting, she was squatting, she was going to the gym multiple times a week. She lost over 20 pounds. She was eating more. Her Hashimoto's cleared up. She was able to get that stabilized. And she felt so much more free in her body. She started pursuing other activities that she loved. She was doing indoor rock climbing. She was doing dance classes again, when previously that really bothered her knees and her back. So again, just throwing in these little examples is all different sorts of conditions. So what we can expect with the PPP method, which we'll dive into here: reduction or elimination of pain. Slept last night with almost no pain. That was like within our first session or two. She had shoulder pain. No more feeling frustrated, worried, or scared about your pain or flares. That's probably one of my favorite gifts that I love to give through this work. This client had said his wife said that he looked happier, he was more relaxed, seemed better after our sessions. Your understanding and generosity were beyond expectations. We always like to go above and beyond. He's 95% of the time out of pain. This was after 2 sessions. And he was doing all of the right things. I remember when he came in, he was telling me all the things he was doing, And I was like, wow, like he's doing some of the best solutions. But there were key pieces that were still missing. We were able to fill in those gaps that we'll cover here today. So you get a strong, fit body you love to live in, not crazy spending all the time in the gym. You'll have timeless skills to keep growing your strength and mobility for life. Like my client who is a competitive tennis player and hikes and does all these things, and he's still doing the same kettlebell training that I taught him years ago. And you'll feel safe and comfortable in your body. So important, building that trust. So again, we have lots of different notes and testimonials. Again, I've been doing this for a while. So we get to avoid risky surgeries. That's also one of my favorite benefits to provide to clients, that you don't have to go get surgery, have a better, stronger quality of life. So, and lastly, faster, more predictable relief. That's worked for literally hundreds of others who are in the same place as you. I'm very confident at this point doing this work after doing it for so long. This is a client with tendinopathy. She had chronic pain in the knees, the feet, Achilles tendon, chronic fatigue. She had chronic stress. There's a lot of, again, very used to dealing with people who have multiple conditions. Her conditions prevented her from performing her job. She was working at a job where she was on her feet all the time. Her doctor just said, oh, you have tendinopathy. Like, do you want some medications for it? In less than 2 weeks working together, her pain dropped from a 5 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10 in her feet and Achilles. And I remember asking her, how's your pain in your knee doing? And she said, oh my God, I totally forgot that I even had pain in my knee. I don't experience that anymore. In 2 weeks. In less than 4 weeks, her pain dropped to a 0, and she was able to do her job pain-free with more energy. Like her employees noticed around her. So these results are possible even, again, if you have other chronic conditions going on, if you have an autoimmune condition, you've had pain for decades, you've had pain for years, months, you've tried other approaches, very common, you've had surgeries or procedures, you have no experience of weightlifting, it doesn't matter. PTSD and low back pain, client in his late 30s. He was from the military. He went through round after round of PT. We relieved his back pain, was able to do pull-ups, deadlifts, kettlebell swings without provoking symptoms. He was able to support his family again, a family man. He wanted to make sure he was there for his daughters, his 3 daughters and his wife. It's huge. So how and why have all these clients succeeded? So we're going to look at these 3 distinct reasons. And these are possibly the reasons you haven't gotten these results as well. Like that other client that I told you about, he did so many amazing things for symptoms and he still had pain. So we filled in these gaps. 1, we take a multidimensional holistic approach. So if you've never heard of neuroplastic pain, let me just plant that seed in your head about neuroplastic pain. Many of my clients come in with neuroplastic pain. What that means in particular, you heard me say a lot, pain is not just a physical problem. When it's neuroplastic, it means it has a lot to do with the brain and the wiring of the brain and the nervous system and stress. We're going to talk a lot more about stress here. So does stress increase your symptoms? Did your pain start after a stressful event or after you got out of that stressful event? This would point to more of that neuroplastic pain where it's really not just a physical, mechanical problem. Does your pain come with fear or worry or anxiety? Huge. Chronic pain is not just a physical problem, especially if you could answer yes to those 3 questions. So there's this amazing professional. He would say pain is an opinion of the brain. And we could geek out over how pain is actually processed in the nervous system and the brain, how we experience pain, what's going on a physiological, neurological level. But just so you know, for the sake of this presentation, is that pain is an opinion of the brain, meaning the brain will interpret what signals are coming in, and then it's going to give the experience of pain. So when we can short circuit that in a way, we can create a different opinion of the brain by the things that we're doing to stop that communication from the brain saying like, oh, this is pain, this is scary, we need to increase the pain sensitivity. We can stop that signaling and the brain can have a new opinion of pain. So like we talked about with the PPP method, pain is a psychological event, physiological, and a physical event. There are multiple factors that come into play when it comes to pain. And again, the body keeps the score. So if you are somebody who has a history of trauma, you've had a lot of stress in your life, stress increases your pain. This is like key when it comes to neuroplastic pain or this pain that needs to be resolved more from that physiological approach. So I'm going to go over this real quickly. This is from somatic experiencing, a training I took many years ago on trauma. So in a completed stress cycle, when something stressful has happened to us, we have a stressful event, we go through a stress response, which is normal and expected. We have what's called a biological completion after that stress, and otherwise known as a successful survival. Maybe we got into almost a car accident. Oh my God, we go into a stress response. Oh, okay, we survived, everything's okay. And then we return to homeostasis. We shake it off, we breathe, we have what we call an empathetic witness. Somebody's there for us, we have support, and we recover from our stress, and we're good to go. However, that isn't always the case. So then we can also experience an incomplete stress cycle where a stressful event happens, we go into a stress response, but there's no resolution or recovery from the stressor. So then we stay in this hypersensitivity to threat, which can increase that pain sensitivity. So then we're always on guard. There's excessive tension in the body. We call this sympathetic dominance. And that's where we tend to see people with a lot of chronic pain for long periods of time. There's this hypersensitivity to their environment. We refer to it as a chronic and unconscious orientation towards protection. The body is really guarded and it's protecting. It's a state of hypervigilance. So we often refer to chronic pain as a protective response. Chronic pain is a messenger. It's saying something. It doesn't mean like, oh my God, something's wrong right this minute. It's a messenger. It's a response to hypersensitivity. So what we want to do is we want to repattern these loops of protection and pain to safety and relief. We want to bring down that guarding, come out of that sympathetic dominance so the body doesn't have to speak in these alarms of pain. So that's where we apply that PPP method. So psychologically, on a psychological level, we know that our thoughts and our feelings can create more stress in the body, right? We've all experienced it. When we think about something stressful, we can feel the experience of it. So we need to start rewiring our emotions, our thought patterns, our beliefs that we have about pain in ourselves to help reduce that stress response and relieve symptoms a lot faster. We talk about several different books as well that can really help with this. One is The Biology of Belief, if you've ever heard of that book from Bruce Lipton. That is an amazing book that talks about repatterning these beliefs and how we can actually heal our body and our nervous systems through our thoughts and through our beliefs. So on a physiological level, we will also want to support the autonomic nervous system. Obviously, psychological, we can support that by our thoughts and beliefs. But also we want to look at the nervous system on a more somatic level, which we'll talk about here today as well, to lower that inflammation, decrease that pain sensitivity, come out of that state of sympathetic dominance, bring us out of the states of survival. And physically, extremely important, physical, we need to repattern how you're moving, how you're breathing, which also feeds in the physiological. So you can see how they all kind of tie in together. There's so much overlap. So repatterning how you move is very important because when somebody gets into chronic pain, they start moving from these states of survival. They start moving in these compensation patterns that we need to repattern. And it's very hard to notice yourself moving from compensation if you're so used to moving from compensation. It can take somebody else's eyes, a professional's eyes on you to say, oh, like this is off a little bit. We actually need to repattern how you're moving here. Look at this asymmetry that you've got going on from, your feet here. So we need to repattern how you're moving and breathing, set the foundation for strength and resilience in a really safe way. So in essence, we're repatterning how your brain, your nervous system, and your body are responding to input, the world, to exercise, so it doesn't perceive danger anymore. You're not in that guarded state, and it stops speaking in pain and other protective symptoms, even the guarding, the excessive tension, right? Pain is one symptom we experience, but there's almost a spectrum of symptoms we can experience leading up to pain. So pain is an alarm bell, right? It's not a danger meter. It doesn't mean that, oh my God, like everything is terrible right now. Pain is telling us we need to change something. We need to listen to the body. And essentially what we need to do with pain is return the body back to safety. Returning the body back to safety is key. If the body does not feel safe, nothing will work. You could try all the exercise in the world, and if your body doesn't feel safe in that moment, whether it's actually safe or not, if your body doesn't perceive it as safe, forget about it. So that's why ultimately, when I look at chronic pain relief, I look at it as coming back to wellness, right? It's a whole holistic thing. This is a lovely client. She said, "This is amazing. You taught me about the body, how to listen to it, honoring the vessels, so many layers. Body goes through so many emotions, right? All day long. She recognized it. She breathes it out. She was very used to being disembodied. This is very, very common with people with chronic pain. Why would you want to be present in your body if it hurts? Right? There's a way that we can start to embody ourselves again, even with chronic pain, without it being overwhelming. There's a way to do that, and it's very important to do that in order to actually have relief. This is another client. She said, or this is actually a male, his body has gotten a lot stronger, trimmer, and bit by bit, he's been getting better. This is that client, again, with a bilateral meniscus injury and the knee pain. So this is a really important story I want to share. So this is the one who went off and started running marathons and things like that and doing all sorts of stuff in the gym. So when I was first working with her, one is interesting. She didn't think that this would actually work in the way that it did work. She thought, oh, we'll kind of do like some pre-op stuff and then I'm going to go through surgery. I'm just going to get a little bit stronger. She didn't think we'd actually avoid surgery. So even when we were just getting her to straighten her knee, her knee was constantly in flexion. Even just getting her to straighten her knee, which was safe, the joint was okay, we weren't doing damage straightening it. Her brain was in such a panic, right? And she could observe the fear going on. We never push past it. We don't just push through the pain, or not even push through the pain, obviously, but we don't push through the fear either. We work with the fear. So we had to work at the pace of the body, very important, work at the pace of the nervous system. But it was interesting. She was like, wow, my brain is like freaking out, just wanting to go into this position, even though I know this isn't going to actually hurt me. Those are the sort of things we work through. And again, not pushing through it, working at the pace of the nervous system, being observant, being in the body again. Super huge. Another client, he was saying, I refer to him a book. Again, I have a lot of different resources to help people understand and feel more empowered about their pain, not that it's like this thing happening to them. And he said he built back the trust he had in his body. This is so huge. Self-sufficiency is very important for me to teach my clients, that I don't want you guys dependent on me. I want you empowered. I want you to understand how to work with your pain and what's going on. So again, relief is typically experienced in 2 to 4 weeks. Honestly, 2 to 4 weeks. This is normal, regardless of what the condition is, because again, we're using more holistic models. We're getting the body back to safety. Another client commented on Instagram. He had a combination of back and hip stuff. He also had wrist stuff and hand stuff and like a lot of things going on. He was working a lot. He wasn't able to do his job. He said, your help and training has been nothing short of miraculous, even the little time he's been able to spare. Again, it doesn't take very long. It has to be the right things at the right time. If they can do it, why can't you? But again, your belief in yourself and your intention is critical. Have to believe in yourself. Number two, the other piece is their training was therapeutic. So there's a quote that goes, your training, your weight training is rehab, and your rehab is your weight training. They should be the same thing. Your lifting and your exercise should not be pushing you further into pain. That means it's not therapeutic. That means it's not sustainable and it's not healthy. There's another quote that goes, you think lifting weights is dangerous? Try being weak. A little bit harsh, but being weak, being physically weak is absolutely dangerous. It means that if you fall, what if you're not able to get back up? If you have an injury and you're not strong and you're not capable, and you need to say, also catch yourself on the floor when you're falling, but you're not strong and you don't know how to move and catch yourself, that's also very dangerous. You can cause other injuries there. So lifting weights does not have to be dangerous. It doesn't have to be scary. This is something else I also want to emphasize. Active problems, meaning you have a problem with movement, you have a problem with exercising without pain. It requires active solutions, not passive modalities. Passive solutions or passive modalities are going to be massage therapy, acupuncture, chiro. There's nothing wrong with these modalities, but they're passive solutions, and it creates a dependency on these practitioners to always go back. My goal is to get you off of chiropractic care, off of massage therapy. Maybe you just go in once a month or every quarter in order to maintain where you're at, or that you get checkups, and that's it. and that's it. It's not something that you need. So instead, we use a therapeutic training method because you're going to need to move for the rest of your life, right? That you will have a dependency on movement because movement is important. It's something we should all do. And we call this progressive overload training. So this is not doing high intensity interval training. It's not CrossFit, Orange Theory, general fitness classes. It's not yoga. This might seem like an intense workout for you, but this is not unusual for people a month or two into training together. A sample workout of progressive overload training where we're using key therapeutic movements coached at the right way at the right time would look something like this just 3 days a week. This is a therapeutic strength training workout, but depends on a couple of things. So we need to make sure the exercise selection is correct for you. The intensity, very, very important. We always want to stay within your capacity. The sequencing, the programming, how we're delivering the exercises is important. How we're able to adapt the exercises for your life. And we want to progress within your window of tolerance. So you might have heard that term in the trauma world, your window of tolerance or your capacity. We always make sure we train at the pace of your nervous system. That's often why other modalities do not work. They do not respect your unique capacity, which also changes from day to day sometimes. So we need to look at with your training, with your exercise, is it sustainable? Is it measurably effective? Can we measure that you're actually getting stronger and decreasing pain, right? We can measure those things. Are there lasting improvements? Do you enjoy it or do you hate your workouts? It's not a good place to be. So you can either feel exhausted and burned out with random workouts, right? It could keep flaring you. It's just not worth it, honestly. Or a proven training model. It's safe, it's sustainable, it's customized for chronic pain. So we're going to talk more about this proven sequential movement system because, again, movement can hurt or it can help, right? It's not just what we do, it's how we do it. So somatic awareness is a term my clients are very familiar with. You might be familiar with this term. Somatic just relates to the body if we really want to generalize it. So having that somatic awareness means we're paying attention to our body, what we feel, the sensations. In a coaching session, I'm asking over and over again, what do you feel? What about this? How's this? It's this, I look at it almost like we're asking for consent by the body every little moment. Can we go here? Well, let's go here. Well, can we relax into this a little bit more? Well, let's position this here. And how does this feel? It's this really wonderful explorative experience with the body. And it's often very different than any other movement modality. It is not physical therapy. And again, I worked in physical therapy. It's not PT. This client was saying the body awareness in her posture video that I gave her, what a difference. Just that little awareness of shifting in the hip. I didn't realize how much my back hurt until I changed positions, right? I hear that a lot. Sometimes we get so used to chronic pain, we don't even realize, wow, my body feels so much better now just from these little shifts. So usually we try things of doing, oh, just try these handful of rehab exercises. There's a reason I never post just random rehab exercises. Do this for back pain because it could be terrible for the wrong person. If it's executed poorly, terrible. And then they feel even worse about their experience. They're like, I can't do anything. I can't even do a rehab exercise for my back. It's because it wasn't correct for you. It wasn't right for your nervous system. We'll try a mishmash of YouTube workout videos, try like a yoga video of yin, which is fine, but is it really progressing you to getting stronger, to recovering? Random group fitness classes are usually not going to work because you have no idea what's going to go on that day. Is it going to flare you? That professional teaching is usually not an expert in complex pain. So movement is medicine, right? But it can also hurt. Depends on the dose. It depends on how we're using that medicine. So we really need that cohesive system in movement to get faster, safer, and predictable results. So again, which would you rather have? An assortment of interventions, kind of piecing things together. Maybe I'll try this rehab exercise, I'll do this, or a cohesiveness, an exercise plan customized for chronic pain. Like step by step. It is always more costly to do something that's not working. Again, my clients lose time with their family, with their friends, doing things they love, being able to work more effectively. But chronic pain requires a distinct approach. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Rebuilding Body Blueprint. Just very briefly here, this is a trauma-informed method to help you restore your body's capacity. You're able to do more over time, relieve pain at the root by using that PPP method, rebuild your strength, and move without fear. You don't have to have anxiety about moving anymore. So this is generally how it works. We're going to break this down really quick. Phase 1 is what we call the repatterning phase. So this is about 6 weeks long. This is how we repattern how you think, your thoughts and beliefs. You have different exercises for that, specific for chronic pain. Working with the nervous system a lot in these first 6 weeks. You're going to repattern also how you're breathing, extremely important, get you out of a sympathetic dominant breathing style. Breathing is very important for your pelvic floor health and core stability as well. And then we're going to look at how you move as well. We're going to repattern how you're moving. We do key movement patterns, very important sequential movement patterns to move you up into doing more advanced lifting. So very, very sequential and careful. We're going to stop old protective patterns of movement, stop these compensation patterns. That's where we're going to have the relief of pain. And this is also providing that foundation for therapeutic strength. So this is where all of the really amazing things happen on the front end. It's like, oh my God, I'm already out of pain. Like amazing, I'm able to do more, I'm able to move around. Then we go into phase 2. So phase 2 is where we start to actually add more load. We start to reinforce these safe movement patterns that you developed in those first 6 weeks in phase 1. Then we start to add some external load. We start to move it up a little bit. Now, some people, they'll actually get to phase 2 a little bit quicker. It'll be more like 4 weeks, and then we start adding load. So it's really individual. This is all actually one-on-one, by the way. This isn't like a group program. This is completely customized to the individual and what you've got going on. So in phase 2, we keep improving that capacity. You're doing more, you're feeling confident, you're feeling competent. Phase 3 is when we go into sustainable strength. This is where you sustainably are building more strength and mobility. You feel really confident. You're like, okay, I've got it. Just like I mentioned, my tennis guy, and he's still doing his kettlebell work all these years later. He's like, yep, I do my presses, I do my Turkish get-ups, I do my swings. This is where we can also start to really improve that hormonal and metabolic health. If you have some body composition goals, we can absolutely talk about body composition, weight loss, building muscle, building that, again, fit, strong, healthy body, whatever that means to you. And then you're going to have the skills to be self-sufficient. So you're not dependent on me. Okay. So you know what to do. This is a client that said, she's commenting on a video when I posted a video. She said, I welcomed kettlebells into my life 5 years ago, never stopped loving them. She's still doing kettlebells 5+ years later. She loves kettlebells. And she still shows up to some of my little classes on kettlebells and things like that. So strength heals. We say that a lot. Strength heals. It helps keep you out of pain. It keeps you young. It keeps you moving really well. It keeps you safe. This is another client. She shared an email. She said, feel free to share this as a testimonial. We were doing movement and it was very new for her. And we had to make sure that we were, again, working at her capacity. She was trained, oh, I got to be like shaky when I go into my exercises. I got to push really hard, right? That is not what we are doing. We are working only at the pace of the nervous system. We are being accommodating for like this client's background with extensive trauma, right? And we're giving her a body that she really likes because she was saying she really wanted to get her body in shape. She didn't know what to do. So, oh, and she said, my booty and I thank you so much because you're doing a lot of booty stuff. And our ultimate end goal here isn't just getting you back to the gym. That's not the end goal. I always say just getting strong for the sake of getting strong is not the goal. It is creating relief, freedom, and strength to move and live in your body without pain, without worrying about a flare, living your life freely. A lot of this is physical freedom. We're on vacation right now. If we hadn't started working together, I wouldn't have been able to walk around. Would have had to been carted everywhere, being pushed around in a cart. You don't have to be pushed around in a cart. She was going up and down steps. She's going from place to place, right? This is normal. You deserve to feel good and healthy. We call this your body 2.0, okay? It's just a little bit of an upgraded version. This is another client. She said she's walking around the supermarket yesterday. She felt strong. She didn't have any pain. She didn't feel any lack. She didn't feel like that she was struggling inside of herself, complete awareness of her body, that somatic awareness, gratitude. We were working a lot on posture. She was very collapsed. When we see people in that sympathetic dominance or that stress state, there's this collapsing that tends to happen. So we were teaching her, like, what does it feel like to actually move with this better posture, better breathing mechanics, the way that your feet are moved. Oh my God, so many things. So you probably already spent a lot of money on this problem. Many clients already have. Expensive medications, surgeries, hopefully not, variety of professionals, right? Devices, gadgets, we've seen it all, piece by piece programs. Again, this is cohesive, okay? This is a cohesive movement system, and no one gets there alone, especially with a problem as big as chronic pain. So, most people say, how can I do this? Maybe because you're on this class, you're asking, who can help me do this? So hopefully, rebuilding body is something that seems like relief to you. We approach this problem again through a comprehensive, customized, one on one, holistic lens based in neuroscience, based in research, based in what I've done my own research and teaching other professionals. So, again, if you'd like to book a consult, we can do a thorough review of your story, your medical history, explore what you're doing now or not doing now, the things that might be keeping you stuck, the things that might be flaring you unknowingly. And then we're going to provide some insights of what we can do to move you along forward faster and support you through this exact formula, custom to you, custom to your nervous system, to relieve your chronic pain and achieve a strong, fit body in 14 weeks. I am so happy to share all of this with you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Again, you can book a consultation. We can have a conversation. I love this work. I would love to help you if this seems like a fit, and hopefully we'll connect soon. All right, bye guys.